Stephen Pearl is with us now. The Auburn assistant basketball coach is going to be kind enough to join us every Tuesday at this time throughout the season until, there's no way we could bring bad luck, Coach. So we appreciate you doing that. How are you today?
Doing well, fellas. How you guys doing?
We're a little ice stand up here, but it's okay. I'm going to pull a Dunaway right here. It'd take a lot of ice to cool your team off right now. You guys are red hot.
Well, I would imagine Taylor's probably still in the studio doing all the heavy lifting right now, and you guys are just sitting in the comfort of your own homes, not doing a damn thing. So
that's right.
Sounds about right.
You got it.
Taylor is part of our, and this is no disrespect because I'm going to get to a point here, Stephen. She is part of our bench, and y'all's bench. Like, I don't think enough people are talking about it. The production you guys get night in, night out. Every time I look, it's like I think you're coming off 49 points this weekend off that bench, but it's like 40 plus every game.
Yeah, I saw a stat yesterday, which was kind of interesting. Evan Manaya's got a analytics website, and it basically ranked the top five man lineups in the country with a minimum of 75 possessions played, and our bench lineup is the most efficient lineup in the country right now, as far as offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency, which is that's a wild stat when your bench is the best lineup in the country right now. So it just speaks to the depth that we've had. It speaks to that group, kind of coming together and just feeding off each other. They come in and, after our starters have tried to wear down the other team's starters, the other team's bench comes in and they just, kind of wreak havoc and go crazy out there. You got KD and Chad and Dylan and Trey and Chaney. Like, those guys are all very athletic, high energy type players. And, they do an unbelievable job of feeding off each other, sharing the ball and just bringing us an extra boost off that bench. And it's really worked out well for us. And it's been our biggest strength so far this year.
How do you get into a role or into a position where people accept their roles? Because, I think Dylan Cardwell's playing his best basketball. KD just brings every time he's on the floor, something's going to happen. Not always good, but usually good for Auburn, more times than not good for Auburn. There's just so many people that seem to accept the role, and I'm going to run into a wall 100 miles per hour with that role for Auburn. How do you coach that up in people?
Joe, that's a good question. That's the hardest thing that we have to do in our profession, is just getting guys to buy into roles. Because if you look at somebody like Dylan Cardwell, look at somebody like Chad Baker, look at somebody like Katie Johnson, like those guys could all be starting. Trey Donaldson, those guys could all be starting at other schools in the SEC right now, but they're coming off the bench for Auburn. And, I think it's just, it speaks a lot to them and kind of how they were raised and how they were brought up to be able to understand and accept the role of coming off the bench and really just, kind of buying into it and thriving off of it. Dylan's, he's had to play behind guys like Walker Kessler, Janai Broome, and he's waited his turn, but he's done an unbelievable job of buying into what we need him to do. And he's probably the best defender in the SEC right now. Trey Donaldson, a guy that, could have come in and started this year. He all summer long helps Aiden Holloway come along to learn what we're doing day in and day out while competing with them. And then when Aiden gets the nod at the beginning of the year, he makes the most of his minutes, and he's been unbelievable, the last 5 games in our plus minus chart, just being effective and, closing out games for us and doing all the little things. And then obviously, guys like Katie and Chad are both 2 guys that could easily be starting for us. But I think they do a really good job of feeding off each other coming off the bench, and they play off each other really well. And, those guys have just done an unbelievable job of accepting their roles. Now, the challenging part is, as we have a little bit of success, are we going to continue to do that? And that's human nature, to feel good about yourselves and think, well, I probably should be starting, or I should be doing more of this or more of that. But if our guys are able to buy into that for the rest of the season, we could have a pretty good year.
Coach Stephen Pearl is with us. Auburn assistant men's basketball coach will join us each Tuesday at 9:25. They got Vandy tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, SEC Network in Nashville. He's with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Through Monday night's games, I haven't checked after last night, but you guys were 4th in the country in assist to turnover ratio. And I don't know, I don't know the statistics you guys value more than others. It would seem like that one would have to be pretty high, though.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that we tried to make an adjustment on from last year to this year was just sharing the ball a little bit, because that's something that we really struggled with. We had some really talented one-on-one scorers last year, and we didn't get off the ball enough. And I think that was really a big reason why our offense wasn't as good as it could have been, because we had guys that could really make shots and, could make plays. But, once one guy, makes a selfish play, it's kind of contagious to that point. So one of the things that we really tried to do with this year's team was really preach on making the extra pass, getting the hockey assist, and one more. And, we assist on 65% of our made field goals this year. That's fourth in the country. Last year it was 54%. 54% is still pretty high. But 64% is, like you said, number 4 in the country. So, our guys have done a really good job. They realize that when we do share the ball, good things happen. You look at the LSU game, we're up 28 points with 11 minutes left. We have 17 assists on, I think, 23 made field goals at that point. And then we stopped sharing the ball. They cut it to 8 points. And it's just a perfect, way to teach to our guys, like, listen, if we don't share the ball, we're not as effective as when we just go play hero ball and go one-on-one. So it's something that our guys have bought into, have done a really good job of. Our point guard play, our assist turnover ratio is ridiculous between those 2 point guards right now. Trey and Aiden have not made bad decisions or bad plays in ball screen or in transition. They're making the easy pass, making the easy play, and it really helps when you don't have live ball turnovers, when you're going to get a shot up on most possessions.
You guys haven't lost since first Sunday in December. That was Selection Sunday for the football fans out there, and you guys have been dominant in these games. But Bruce came out a couple of days ago, and he's like, he's like, there's 15 teams better than us right now in college basketball. I know you probably want to keep with the coach speak, and you probably agree with that. But from a fan's perspective, watching you guys on the couch, you look like one of the top 15 teams in college basketball. But is there something that you guys definitely have to get better at right now to ultimately get to your goal?
Man, it's tough because, you look at these games and, like you said, like the margin of victory is kind of ridiculous on a few of these games, But I think the biggest thing was just consistently making shots. If you look at the games that we've struggled in, Appalachian State was our second or third worst shooting performance in 10 years since we've been here. A&M, we really didn't shoot it very well. That was a close game. So the games that we've had closer games, we haven't shot, like Southeastern Louisiana early in the year. Like, we didn't shoot it well in that game. So being able to consistently knock down open shots is going to be really important for this team moving forward. Continuing to rebound the ball and then just not fouling. We've had a really big issue the last couple of years of fouling too much and sending teams to the foul line. Thankfully so far, knock on wood, they've been allowing teams to play a little bit more in the SEC, and they've allowed, the contact and the physicality to be up. So, we just got to continue to guard without fouling, making open shots. But, it's going to, we got a tough week this week, but then, you go to Alabama at Mississippi State, like the gauntlet is every single night. So, for us, the biggest thing is teams that don't fall apart in the middle of the season are going to have the best chances of being successful. So we got to keep this team together. Can't get too high. You can't get too low. Right now we've won 9 in a row, so we can't be too high right now, because you go to Vanderbilt, they almost beat Alabama, who, how the hell is Alabama not a top 25 team right now? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's why the AP poll doesn't mean anything. Like, Alabama is one of the top 15 teams in the country right now, and Vanderbilt had them to 3 points at home. So, like, that's a tough game. Ole Miss is a top 22 program right now. They're playing as well as anyone in the country. So every single night is going to be a tough matchup. So it's just staying consistent, not getting too high, not getting too low, and just, continue to do what we're doing.
Listen, you and Pruitt and the whole assistant coaching staff are really good at what you do. But you mentioned Taylor Korn, our social media director. Did you see the seats that she had for me and her at the Texas A&M game?
I was very curious how you guys got those tickets, and it's not surprising that she'd be the one that would have that connection.
Yeah. So we're sitting on the court, and I spent 40 minutes just trying to get you or Pruitt to look over into the heavy booster area there, just so I could give you a, hey, here I am. And I could never get your attention. I'm glad you noticed. I was reading the little card they put in your seat. I was like, if I really get on one of these Texas A&M players or an official and get a technical foul called on the team, finally they'll notice where I'm sitting probably.
I mean, the last 2 games you've come to, you've been courtside. So I guess I wasn't that surprised because that's just kind of where you are. And I mean, the next round's gotten so big that's just where you guys are expected to be is courtside. You can't be anywhere else.
Yeah, I keep waiting for you to say, when am I going to see that donation come into the booster line here?
Well, that's why I'm doing the show every Tuesday, to try and get some NIL donations to try and help us out throughout the years, you know?
There you go. Hey, do you like playing? Stephen Pearl is with us. Do you like playing at Vandy? It's a weird setup, you know, end zone benches, up on a stage. It's a little bit of a different atmosphere than you get anywhere else in the SEC.
When I was a player, that was my favorite gym to play in. For some reason, I mean, it was one of our biggest rivals, so I always played well at Vandy. Coaching at Vandy's is weird because you're obviously sitting on the baseline. I'm glad they added the new rule where the coach can walk up and down the sideline now, you know, because it was really difficult to – well, as a player, it was great because in the first half, you didn't have to listen to your coach because you were so far down the other end that coach had to stay on the side or the baseline, and he was yelling at us, and we would just be like, "Oh, coach, we can't hear you." But now that they can walk up the sideline, it's a little different. So as a player, it was great. Second half, you know, obviously it's right in front of your bench, but I mean, it's a cool environment. It's different. You know, it's the good part for us in Nashville. I don't know if it'll be this way this year because of the snow, but we usually have a really, you know, big attendance, big crowd that'll come out to that game. I think last year half the building was Auburn fans. So hopefully we can get some people to brave it out the weather, unlike you guys today, and show up to the game. But no, it's a cool environment, and you know, it's something that you know, obviously would be a good challenge for us.
Hey, growing up in Wisconsin, and then, you know, obviously Knoxville, what's the worst weather you've ever seen?
Oh man,
because I mean, this is child's play compared to some of the stuff you guys would get in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the Midwest, so Iowa, Indiana, Wisconsin. I mean, in Wisconsin, it was different because like they would have everything done before it snowed. So like it would snow 2 feet and the roads would be perfectly clear, so you'd still be able to go to school, which sucked. But like in Indiana, if it snowed a couple feet, like, you know, you'd be home for the day. So there was a bad snowstorm when I was in, like, I want to say like first or second grade. We got to stay home for the entire week, so that was a lot of fun. But yeah, Wisconsin, they don't mess around. They get those trucks out a week in advance. They know when that weather's coming, and they get it taken care of ahead of time.
All right, Coach. Good luck tomorrow night. We appreciate it. Look forward to doing this all season long. We'll see you next Tuesday.
All right, fellas. Appreciate you guys. Stay safe.
All right, buddy. You too. Take care. That is Stephen Pearl, the Auburn assistant basketball coach, who will join us every Tuesday throughout the season at 9:25 Central Time on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.